Is that the brewed form? So then why wouldn't you call it rice wine? Hello and welcome to Soju Society. Where here today I'll be talking about the difference between soju and sake. Nice to meet you, Poporo. When I talk to people about soju, the first question I always get is it the same as sake? Kind of, but not really in a lot of ways. So what is soju? Soju is a spirit made from distilling rice. It's Korean and it technically means burned alcohol. So means burned and ju means alcoholic beverage. The burned refers to the heat that it takes to distill the rice. So what is sake? Sake is a Japanese beverage made from fermenting and brewing rice. A lot of people think of sake as a rice wine, but it's actually more like a rice beer. If you distill sake, you actually get a beverage that's very similar to soju called shochu, which is like Japanese soju. So basically there's 3 steps to the process. You have the ingredient, and then you have the brewed form, and then you have the distilled form. If you're in Korea, you'll get rice, and then makgeolli, which is kind of the Korean equivalent to sake, except it's made from different microorganisms for the brewing process, so you get different flavors and aromas. And then if you brew the makgeolli, you get soju. So that's rice, makgeolli, soju. If you're in Japan, you'll get rice, sake, shochu. So it's not really fair to compare sake and soju, as one is the rice brew and the other one is the rice distilled form. So, and different countries and different not a fair comparison. A comparison in the West would be something like brandy. You have the ingredients, grapes, and then the brewed form, wine, and then is that the brewed form? So then why wouldn't you call it rice wine? Pop in here and explain that for me, Jiyun. Because I'm saying that it shouldn't be called rice wine because it's there, but I'm just saying now that wine is the same level. Tell us.
The expert has arrived. Grains like barley or wheat or rice, to try to ferment it, that doesn't happen immediately because the sugars inside those grains are not readily available. So you have to release them for the microorganisms to come and eat and start making alcohol. So that's why you have to brew it first. You have to brew the grains first in order for them to start fermenting. For things like wine or something that uses fruits, the sugar is readily available already, so the fermentation can start right away. It's just like if you had rice that was dry and you just left it, it wouldn't become alcohol suddenly. But if you have if you've ever had fruits that were just rotting away, or you had it in the fridge for too long and they didn't dry out, they start to smell like alcohol. So that's kind of what happens. Does that make sense?
Totally.
You seem like you know for sure.
What I'm going to do is eliminate the whole Western analogy, and we're sticking with what's the difference between sake and soju. Sake is brewed, and soju is distilled.
Lovely. Even though the Western analogy does make total sense, I'm going to finish what you started. So, grapes, wine, and then brandy. Just like, do I dare make this comparison and blow your mind, of barley, beer, and if you put it in the oak barrels, whiskey.
So what would be there if it wasn't in the oak barrels? What's the step? So if it goes barley, beer, whiskey, but whiskey has the additional step of oak barrels, what's right before that?
I think it's called the white dog. So technically, if you just distill, like you said, you brewed beer and then you just distilled it and it's now just white or colorless, right? Then that's white dog, and you can put that white dog into oak barrels to age, and that's what you then call whiskey once it's been 3 or more years.
Sounds right.
I teach you things.
Sometimes. Nice to meet you, Poporo.
It's Poporo?
Poporo?
Or is it pororo?
Is it pororo?
I don't know. I don't know.
Poropo.
I thought it was...
Poropo. Poropo. Thanks for watching this episode of Soju Society. Please like and subscribe, or comment down below, and comment down below.